about everything that we're doing for bond construction this upcoming summer. Thinking based on how many people we have and where we're at tonight, I'll probably just do a highlight of where we are with the bond construction and commitment. Talk about where we are with budget, and then we can talk through, we have quite a few slides here on just what we have planned for this upcoming summer. And so we'll talk through some of those big changes and big things that are happening this summer. Is that good? Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry. Maybe.
Oh, give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm gonna jump over here. Sure. This. Okay.
First we have to approve the minutes from the last meeting. We don't have a quorum.
We don't. So it's not an official meeting without a quorum.
So we could just close the meeting as is, and we can walk through the information with you guys so you have it. You guys spent the evening to come and learn about all of this stuff. It just won't be official.
And I think we can still stream it. We just need to be clear. Are we streaming now? Yeah. So we just need to be clear, and especially in the minutes, that this is not an official bond meeting because we don't have a quorum, but that we're continuing with the information that we want to share.
Okay. Does that work? As said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we won't approve the bond minutes and we won't finalize schedule for next year. But we'll just assume the schedule is the same schedule as this year rolling forward, and we'll set future dates at the next meeting.
I got it.
Okay.
Mouse back over, sorry.
Overall bond commitments. These are the major categories of our bond commitments. Our goal is to get everything all the way to the left into the completed column. The two things that are remaining over on the right-hand side is Tomahawk fire improvements and pretty much everything related to Joseph Gale. Those two buildings we want to have open this summer so we can have some summer programming. So we're not going to impact those two buildings barely this summer so that we can have them open all summer for any of our summer programming. And then the access controls after this summer, well, Tomahawk and Taylor Way access controls will be done this summer, if not into the fall. So those will be upcoming and to the left. Most everything in the progress and planning will be done over the next 12 months. So we are off and rolling on all of our actual bond commitments. And once we get most of these all committed and all of our procurement done on that, we are going to start the process of looking at our remaining bond funds and prioritizing how to use those bond funds based on our prior assessments that we've done, and based on feedback that we've already started getting from our administrators. Plus, the state is doing a statewide assessment right now. So we'll use all of that information to start building what is the next phase in the bond to be able to use the remaining bond funds that are left. So that process will start this summer. Overall, we have $147.9 million in total resources district-wide. This is the quarterly financial report that is just summarizing. We did just finalize our second bond sale. The first one was a $90 million bond sale in spring of 23. And we just finished the remaining $31.9 million bond sale last week. We did get an additional $2.6 million in bond premium with that. So that'll come into play when we talk about what do we want to do with remaining bond funds. Overall, since we last met, our bond resources have gone up by 5 million since the bond Oversight Committee last time, and most of that is going to be that extra bond premium and interest earnings that we've got on investments that have came due between now and then. And then our expenditures, we have committed and expended 116 million. So that means we've either expended it fully, or we have open POs and are going to expend it over this upcoming summer or this year. That has increased by 14 million since February. So we have been doing a lot of procurement and a lot of RFPs, getting ready for this summer in the last 2 months. We have $31 million remaining uncommitted at this time, but we still do have some projects that we haven't started on yet that will use some of that. If you're looking at the actual report, there are a couple of, in the variance to current forecast column, it's the third to the last column in the report, there are a couple of negatives. The first one is NAMS and Tomahawk Athletics and NAMS middle school improvements. Those two combined, in working with 5-Star, our general contractor over at, for Neil Armstrong project, we have about $1.3 million sitting in contingency over there that they're gonna then give back to us. So we'll reduce our PO, and then that'll become positive as soon as we do that transaction. We're just kind of holding a little bit later into the summer to do that until we get further into the summer projects. But those will go back to positive. And you'll learn in a couple of slides, there's some more projects that we're doing at Neil Armstrong that's over and above the bond commitment. Renovating restrooms, significant renovations of some restrooms. The gym floor replacement, gym painting, and turf field lighting. So those are all things that are over and above the original commitments that are funded out of this remaining contingency that will be transferred. The next one that's negative is playgrounds. That one we talked about at the last bond oversight meeting, and that one's negative, but that will go positive as soon as we close out Dilly Elementary Schools. Open encumbrances, and so we'll close out that project, and remaining funds will come to offset the Dilly playground that is getting added to scope. And then the last one that is negative is Taylor Way. That is negative because we are doing some more improvements over there that are not in the bond projects, and that's adding a covered play structure, covered PE area, outdoor space at Taylor Way for our calc students. And we're going to add a portable. One of Cornelius's portables is going to get moved over there. So we're going to expand instructional space and expand areas for outdoor learning opportunities. And so that one will be negative, but we'll just, once we have all of it committed, then we'll just transfer out of bond contingency to cover that difference. And then you'll see at the bottom, the 13 million at the end is the amount that we have currently sitting uncommitted to any project. That is our interest earnings and our bond premium resources. So that's what we're going to start working with for determining projects this next summer. The next page is bond budget changes. The last two columns are the ones that have happened since the last time we met. Bond budget changes that we have done since February is we transferred the pre-K budgets to the building contracts. Two places, one is Echo Shaw and one is Harvey Clark. Because we already have general contractors in those two buildings, we're transferring those resources from the pre-K projects budget to the building projects budget so that we can utilize the contractors on site to do that work under the same contract, both to save resources and save time. And then the next one is April 2025 adjustments. Since we are so far down the Cornelius project, we are transferring 1.5 million out of the Cornelius budget contingency that we're not using and we don't anticipate using between now and the end. And $1 million of that is going to our Harvey Clark, $1 million is going to the Fernhill Pre-K project and 500,000 to the Harvey Clark seismic project. So those are the two budget changes that we've made since we last talked. This next slide is just kind of, here's everything that's happening this next summer. It will be our busiest construction summer of the bond cycle. This is not everything that's happening this next summer, but it is a broad, large list of it. We will finalize Cornelia's. We will have the grand opening of Forest Grove High School CTE. Those are two that are already in process. And then the rest are all things that are gonna get kicked off this next summer. We will be doing expansions for pre-K at Dilly, Harvey Clark, Fernhill, Echo Shaw, Joseph Gills to come the following year. Harvey Clark seismic, we will start summer 1 of 2 NAMs. We will have summer 2 of 2 for the seismic and deferred maintenance. Echo Shaw seismic and deferred maintenance will kick off play structure replacements at 4 of our buildings. Forest Grove High School's office restroom and deferred maintenance, and then continuing on our HVAC security, dark fiber, and classroom tech modernization. So just a quick summary of all of the things that we have going on this next summer. Neil,
Schedule. Sorry, it's too hard for me to read from here.
they have it in their packet.
Well, I take a look at it. Okay. So I'll stand on this side, easier to see. Okay, purple line is where we are going down through everything. So kind of just highlighting exactly what Eileen said. Cornelius is in the yellow, construction coming up on closeout. We're about to start those NAMS, gym and field projects, field lighting. So that's NAMS athletics. Neil Armstrong continued through the whole year, and now we have the summer left to complete the interior seismic, restrooms, wayfinding, all of that stuff. And this is the Echo Shaw. This is the beginning of construction at Echo Shaw, phase 1 of Harvey Clark. And this is playground. So we're going back, and I'll highlight that when I talk about it in a few slides. The 4 remaining playgrounds we have to do. The pre-K expansions, obviously we've been working on them, and now we kicked off construction on all of them, except for Joe Gale. Joe Gale, I mean, Eileen will hit on, it's a tiny little remodel that Mark is doing basically, I think, to 1 classroom. Safety and security, we are down to Tom McCall, Harvey Clark, and Echo Shaw for the what we call security trio work. And then on fire alarms, gosh, that's hard to read. Echo Shaw, Harvey Clark, and then Tom McCall is just being pushed out right now, as Eileen mentioned, for a number of different reasons. And then the technology projects are, well, I'm not going to go through them all. We'll talk about them a little later, but classroom technology, we've been going through all the buildings, the acronyms for what we've done, and then the ones that we have coming up more or less in order. And then Enrique, your dark fiber loop is
Will be finished. in
3
July.
quarters of the way.
Yeah, July is when we're expecting to finish.
So that's the overall schedule. And like I said, as you can see, this is by far the most yellow that we have at any one period of time. So this is by far our busiest summer for everything we're doing.
All right, Cornelia and John.
Okay, Cornelius, we are kind of coming towards the last, more than halfway, probably 3/4 of the way through. The brick on the outside is all completed. The brick masons will be wrapping up here shortly. The picture on the left is kind of the northeast wing, which is our B wing. And it was the first one completed, so we've already done punch lists in that area. And so that's really exciting. Enrique's done a technology review there. So then we're working our way to the west, and so we're really into finishes inside the building. Outside, we're gonna be working on that front entry here, and we're gonna start within the next 2 to 3 weeks. We'll start working on the outside, and we're gonna have to move the trailers, get them out of the way, the tent parking areas where the field will go. So, we're kind of transitioned to really a lot of work outside for the summer. There will be some work that we do out of 14th Street that's related to that, as well. And, you can see the gymnasium there in the lower right. It's gonna, be coming together and some beautiful big exposed glulam beams in there that we're working on, finishing right now. So, just exciting time as we kind of work through the finish of Cornelius. So, and we did get the field lighting approved last night at the planning commission. So, next steps there is to, and that's 4 60-foot poles that the light
I have,
all shines on the, huh?
there's a slide.
Oh, there's a slide for, yeah,
There's a
for,
slide just
for NAMs.
Well,
Just for
it
field
shows
lighting.
kind of both.
Oh, gotcha,
Field
okay,
lighting.
so yeah, more to come on that one, so that's Cornelius.
Just kind of a Cornelia's update. We had the pleasure to walk the staff through the building last week in construction, so they can see kind of different phases of it. And both teachers and instructional aides and everybody going into their classroom to actually see like what is their view going to be and to see their classroom. And they had like measuring tapes out, measuring the cubbies and looking in all of the cabinets. And it was pretty amazing just to be able
46, yeah,
46 staff, yeah.
it was quite a tour.
It was large.
No one had open-toed shoes.
They did really good.
Yeah,
But it was pretty amazing to be able to just have them come through and see like what the spaces are gonna look like and get their feedback and get excited for the summer and everything. So that was a lot of fun.
Next, yeah, okay, so this is see,
There you go.
John, we have a slide.
Yep.
I'll get back up here. I like being here on the screen. So, this is NAMS with the same idea at Cornelius. We're gonna have 4 light poles around the field. These lights are designed to only cast the light on the field with very little spillover. That is an example, obviously, of a collegiate field, but it's the same idea. I got it from Musco. And then, as John was trying to describe to you, I threw in a little picture of what the poles look like to try to make the slide more exciting. But this is, I think this is big for. One of the reasons for these fields was community use throughout the year, and having lights makes them actually usable in the winter, because with the sun setting at 5 p.m., there's really no chance after school hours to use these 2 fields. And so now I think there can be a lot of community use and student athletics. So games can be played, all that kind of stuff. It's good.
And we're breaking up the 2 fields. So Cornelius is gonna be soccer with 2 T-ball fields on each of the opposite corners. And then Neil Armstrong will be soccer, football, and lacrosse striping. So we're gonna be able to have just more opportunities for both youth and teens and adults throughout the community year round. So that's really exciting. The Forest Grove, Neil Armstrong goes to the city of Forest Grove on Monday for approval. So that's the last bit that we're waiting on is approval from the city for these lights.
Okay, NAMS, just little, this winter, we basically completed all of the exterior footing work from, I think they took off basically from around the courtyard and then around the rest of the building. It's not very exciting. I don't have any pictures of footings under the dirt. So, but what I think we showed you last time was, this courtyard, which got a significant renovation. And I believe you put pictures, I
Did you put a
taken
picture?
pictures last time,
Okay,
but we can always bring them back for next time. So this time, what we're highlighting is bathroom remodels. These are the ones we built as part of it. So there's 4 new single-user restrooms. And these are the ones John built in 2002 in Ewing. And they're since they're newer and they're not needing as much, we're just gonna refresh them with new partitions, paint, and some new fixtures. In the purple ones, these are all the ones for the kids throughout the building. We're gonna do a much more extensive remodel. And then at the ones that are more public against the cafeteria and the gym, we're actually combining these into more gender neutral style bathrooms. Go to the next slide. So this is the
Jim.
so this is the gym. And you can see like this is coming out of the gym right here. It's gonna be open to the hallway, the sinks in the middle, and then all of the stalls are just there, by either gender can be used. They have full partition heights between them, but the doors for supervision will still have a 6-inch gap at the bottom so we can see feet. And then for air ventilation, and for sprinklers and a whole bunch of other reasons, light, we have it looks deeper than it is here. It's about 18 inches at the top. It'll also have full ADA at the end, all beautiful new tile finish that we are still working on the aesthetics of. And so this is going to be great. And then I think if you go to the next slide, the cafeteria, similar idea with the pass-through, open to the hallway, full inclusive restrooms. However, at this end, they used the 2 bathrooms, both just as single user because of the assisted need for some of the students. So we are recreating that with a separate, larger ADA restroom, that'll also have a changing table and a hoist, for the students who need assistance in that area. So it'll also double then as a additional faculty restroom down at that end of the building, which is good since they need to be a little spread out throughout. But these 2 bathrooms are fairly exciting and large renovations. I think, okay. And then the other big improvement we're trying to do at NAMS is help people get around the maze that is the floor plan. And so we worked with a company called Centerpoint, and our architect Malum to come up with a color coding basically for the hallway. So each section is both now numerically one set of numbers, so 100s, 200s, 300s, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so the idea being that if you are in part of the building, there'll be general decision-making points, we call them, where the intersections happen with signage that takes you off on the color. So if you're in the main office and you send someone to 408, you can say, go up the blue hall and then follow the rows to 408. And now, if you didn't know, these right now, when you go down the hallway, this was A and this was B. So you'd have both A classrooms and B classrooms off the same hallway. It was a little bit confusing, and then you can't see the sun from anywhere inside the building. So it gets a little much. So if you go to the next slide, I have an example. So this is sort of the striping that we'll have throughout the building. New wainscot color, to be a little bit more neutral to go with our new striping. And then besides the English and Spanish language everywhere, we have selected symbols to also help people who maybe speak a different language find their way around the building or to certain major points. Go to the next slide. I kind of blew up with the signs and the, counseling, cafeteria, gym, the restroom signage, and then sort of showed you what you would run into throughout the building to help you find your way as you were going around. Hopefully it'll work really well because we spent a lot of time trying to plan this all out. I think that might be the end of those.
Oh, sorry. Were you
No,
done?
no, go to that one. The next one's Mary, but do you want to talk about this one? You want me to?
Yeah, I could talk about this
Yeah.
one. Forest Grove High School, since the seismic work, once we had $1 million set aside for seismic work at Forest Grove High School, went and had the assessment done. And it was determined it's already up to the standards that we were wanting to get it to. And if we wanted to take it up to the next standard, it would just blow our budget away. And so we're gonna do a couple of things for seismic related at the high school, but it's not gonna cost that much for the seismic improvements that we're gonna do. So in looking at the needs at the high school and prioritizing safety and security, that high school office and front entry vestibule is really dark and there is limited visibility going into that high school. And so we working with the architect, trying to determine how can we open up that office to bring more visibility into that space. And so these are the current renderings of the new office. And what it would do is it would switch where the lobby is right now and the office, the reception desk, it's gonna swap them and take over the front conference room. And then we'll open up windows. So if you're sitting at that front desk, you can see into the vestibule, you can see into the commons, and you can see into the hallway that's right off the way. So it's gonna open it up, have lots of more windows and visibility for the reception area and the administration in that space. And it's gonna open it up and just bring more light and make it more welcoming environment. It's really dark and dreary, kind of when you walk in there, it's really confined. So it'll just make it more of a welcoming space to walk in there. Additionally, we're gonna have on the upper right, you have that, it almost looks like a black door. So it'll be buzz in and buzz out. So community and students and staff, anybody, you have to be able to buzz in to get back into the office space beyond the front entryway, and it'll have a buzz out button, so you can't get past the front office without buzzing into the common space outside of the, general passing time of arrival and dismissal. So if somebody were to be able to get into that front office, they're still not going to get past those two doors without a lot of effort. So just improving that safety overall, being able to kind of lock it down a little bit further. So that's the office space. And then as far as the restrooms, that restroom space is in the front commons right now, where it has the boys, and then it has the smoothie bar, and then it has the girls' restrooms outside of the old Viking gym. That will open up and become two restrooms, one for boys and one for girls, but it's going to be open, and if I'm looking at the map right now, the toilets are currently on the right-hand side and the sinks are on the left-hand side, and we're swapping those so that we can open up that wall, and it'll have kind of a perforated, so it's not open to the commons, but if you're standing in the commons and you're supervising, you can still see into the restroom. So there's a lot of activity that happens in there. So we're just trying to open it up a little bit, provide that supervision space, so it makes those restroom spaces a lot safer for students. They'll have a common entry point, so you can go in and you can pick boys and girls, you can pick whichever, and then the common wash station in the middle, and then separate wash stations that will face the common open space. So just full renovation of those commons restrooms, to add that security layer and to just fully renovate those.
So Shaw, okay, so this summer, one of the projects we're doing, I would say mostly a seismic project, but the other part of the bond promise was to take off all of the current aluminum siding and re-side, I'll just say 90% of the building. This actually, the siding in front of the cafeteria on those two sides, it remains, as well as those windows. So the other part of the bond was replacing, originally it just said some of the windows that were starting to cloud out, but all the windows were more or less from the same era. So the assumption would be that they would all start to condensate. So we are actually replacing 100% of the windows around the building, new siding. It's going to be fiber cement siding with this paint detail, with a nice accent wall in the front. Actually, there's a nice zoom in one of it. And the idea was that we were trying to capture that mosaic pattern from the current monument sign out front and carry that into the building. The inside renovations, I don't think we have another slide. We are doing just a little bit of flip-flop remodel. We're moving the teacher's lounge over to the cafeteria to create additional classroom space. We're creating the pre-K classrooms in the front here. We're adding a modular from Cornelius is going to come over and be backed by the covered play. So we're creating a connecting hallway now out to it. And then there's also just an interior seismic upgrade where we're resheathing walls with plywood and adding footings. That's pretty much throughout the whole building. And then also Echo Shaw gets new fire alarm, new classroom technology, and the security updates that every other building is getting.
2 classrooms, pre-K renovations.
Yeah, pre-K. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much everything we're gonna do at Echo Shaw. It should look brand new from the outside. Those projects are always very exciting because the community a feel and they can actually see it change as opposed to just changing the walls. John was joking about Billy, like we can show you what we did here, but it's mostly behind the paint.
And similar to the outside is what's really noticeable.
Yeah. As
Side.
we walked up, Eileen even commented today about how beautiful
Yeah.
that new entryway looks, all painted, so. Next is probably Harvey, yep.
Okay, Harvey Clark, come up to the front here, so. A lot of work happening at Harvey Clark this summer and next. The phasing is basically everything but the gym is this summer. So in the classroom wings, we're doing major seismic upgrades, adding shear walls, all these dark lines are where we're adding shear to the building to make it more seismic resistant. And another thing we're doing, all these exterior doors are being infilled, so it's, you know, kind of a security upgrade that we're doing, getting rid of all those exterior doors. In order to do that, right now, just this section of the building is fire sprinkled. So we're connecting to this fire riser. It was well thought out at the time, and it has capacity to do the whole school. So we're gonna run fire sprinkler lines all the way down, take out the ceilings, run fire sprinkler mains down into all the classrooms and all the spaces. So complete fire sprinkler upgrade, which is kind of tough when you have some of the ceilings have this much room above them to the roof. We're getting all new roofing in this section of the building, including insulation. We are getting some HVAC upgrades that we're working with Mark and Brent within the district on, adding air conditioning to all the classrooms. So that's major right now. Currently just these ones have it. And I guess the other big thing here is the pre-K addition, 2 classrooms there along with restrooms, modifying these restrooms to be staff restrooms. So those are really big upgrades for the staff as well. There's some folding partitions here that we are going to replace with hard walls. And kind of like Emil said, throughout the school, we'll be doing the technology upgrades. Some of those have already happened. Security upgrades throughout the school, and the fire alarm still yet to be.
Fire alarm will start this summer. We're coordinating with your construction.
And phase 2 is the gym. This is a really interesting project because this thick line here, we're going to basically build a wall within the wall, but we looked at shotcrete where you blast concrete on the wall. It's actually gonna be a structural foam system, which I've never done that before, but it's we're working 5-star builders here, and Clint said it was something we should look at. Turned out to be kind of the preferred way to go and a less expensive way to go. So that'll be really interesting the second summer. So and along with all that, we get some wayfinding colors similar to what you're doing at NAMS, a little easier to get around this school, but new wainscoting, really similar to what you'll see out here when we walk through. The hallway wainscoting was all updated here in painting and new tack boards for each of the classrooms. So that. Oh, and restrooms, major restroom upgrades to these 2 restrooms. They're really old. They've got classic drinking fountains that I've never seen before. They'll be replaced with modern kind of fixtures throughout, and just look really good with new tile as well. So I think that's it for Harvey.
Playgrounds. So the reason we pushed our playgrounds, some of them the fast forward to this summer, was we decided to start a district standard of eliminating the bark chips. They are both a maintenance nuisance and they are not as ADA friendly as this rubber tile. So at Echo Shaw, this is Echo Shaw. Skip to the next one, Harvey Clark. Harvey Clark already has like 18 playgrounds or something. It's so much equipment. We decided that the ADA area should actually be fully ADA accessible. So this area will be just off of the current covered play sort of area asphalt. And then all of the items here, not that able-bodied students can't use them, but they're all designed with ADA students in mind. It should be very exciting. Looking forward to this one. And then the next one, Dilly, again, it's just replacing the aged equipment with brand new. And then in this one, I don't have an overhead. The area of bark dust is so ginormous. We're actually only going to do half in rubber tile and we'll leave the other half as bark dust. We are putting a few new things in the bark, little like spinner games and things like that. Nothing big like this. And then the last one is Tom McCall. So Oak Grove Academy runs a program out of Tom McCall. They had a special little playground area with very decrepit material, playground equipment that Mark has already demoed out. And they are also going to get a new piece of equipment. In this, it's hard to see, but next what we did save this little fun looking slider thing. It'll be all new rubber tile, but they had such a big area of hardscape. We're also going to add a full-size basketball court with 2 brand new hoops. And we're going to stripe it for pickleball and provide the school with 2 portable pickleball nets that they can bring out to use. They won't just be left out for the public. They'd probably walk away. So that's exciting too at Tom McCall. And then we got those 4 playgrounds going. And in fact, Tom McCall just got its tile today.
Okay, Dilly pre-K. So we are doing an addition here to Dilly. Just this, I guess, to be the southwest side of the building. So that's here. This is the addition along with the vestibule that will be built. It will look very similar to what we did last year with the fiber cement siding and new paint scheme. We're gonna get some nice windows added for this as well. So as part of this, it impacts the current garden area. So we'll be taking the Cornelius kind of garden area standard number of boxes and copying that for here. And so the other thing we're doing here at Dilly this summer is a pre-K renovation. So this will actually be the pre-K classroom with pre-K bathroom inside the classroom here. So that is happening this summer. The addition will break ground this summer and go through into early of next year to complete that. And then the one other thing we're doing here this summer is just adding some outside air HVAC units on the roof and doing some ductwork throughout the school. So that is Dilly.
Fern Hill's technically Mary, but this is part of the pre-K program. Although it's a little bit more expanded, it's not just going to be pre-K. So at the end of Fern Hill, we're going to build a 4-classroom, 2-story addition. These are beautiful renderings again of the design outside. I believe that is all metal with CMU block beneath it. The 4 classrooms, I guess doesn't really show, are here at the end. There's also going to be a little breakout space and I believe a restroom for the pre-K on the first floor and a single user restroom added on the second floor. And then as part of that project, we are making some exterior improvements. We're moving the pre-K playground and a
garden.
I don't know which is which. Eileen probably
It'll
does.
be backwards. The
Pre-K.
K will be in the back.
Or
the garden in the
playground.
front. Yeah.
Garden. And that, sorry, is a quick update, but I believe that is more or less what is happening at Fern Hill.
For technology projects, like Emil's already mentioned, the classroom upgrades have been going on throughout the district, with the high school being the big one that we're gonna try to get through during the summer and then probably slightly into the fall, given the size of the building. And then also addressing Dilly, Harvey Clark and Echo Shaw, finishing Harvey Clark. That picture actually is in one of the kinder classrooms at Harvey Clark that was finished. So the rooms that are being impacted by seismic work and buildings that they've already been in, they'll follow up behind the contractors doing that work to then finish out those buildings. The other images, in fact, a couple of them here at Dilly, is the work they're doing in installing the new dark fiber. So that's from the exterior of the gym here at Dilly. You can see in that center picture where they have their excavating equipment, where they're doing underground boring of the conduit that is gonna run the fiber into the side of the gym there and then to the network closet that lives there. And then on the upper left, that's them actually at the corner near the church by the playground where they're going off of that pole underground to the space by the gym. So that actually only took them a day to do that portion. I think they're done. The rest of it they're doing out on right of way, like on 47. On the far right, that's just a sign where they have some of their flags where they're doing their boring into Taylor Way. So most of the work has already been underground. So you just see the little yellow flag right there on their sign indicating that they're doing that work. But the same kind of idea, they're going to be boring underground into the building and then terminating in our closets there to provide us a connection to the fiber network that we'll have connecting all the buildings together. Which again, the benefit of it is we get, basically, we're only limited by the capacity of the optics that we put in our equipment in the closets. So anytime we want to upgrade our bandwidth, we just flip out those optics. We don't have to then go to a provider and then pay how many more tens of thousands of dollars just to increase the capacity of a circuit to one building. So the cost savings is huge, and the ability for the capacity change, should we ever need it, and the redundancy, because now if we ever have a failure in any one part of the fiber network, we're going to have some redundancy built in where the path could then go through a different route. So if somebody happens to cut something, say in Cornelius, we could route around and then get back to where we need to go to make sure that everyone's connected. With that, an example of a cut, that picture in the upper right is the excavation of a fire riser that was hit as they were boring at the high school to run the fiber cable. The boring equipment caught that pipe, but luckily the facilities department was very quick and efficient in getting hold of the people that we needed to stop the water and then get it repaired. I think it only took them a couple of days. They pretty much got on it almost the same day.
Yeah, no, they had fixed the first, that day.
That day,
Yeah,
they had it prepared the first day, so very thankful for our facilities department for helping with that. But it's just an example of the nature of a project like this. So you're gonna run into little kind of anomalies and things that you have to overcome.
And if you're ever wondering, a 12-inch fire riser pipe does expel a lot of water.
Yeah.
The neighbors were concerned.
We had
There's a
3
6-inch wall of water has to cross the property.
flooded back there.
There's no way it could go anywhere
Yeah.
else.
But luckily, yeah, everything was taken care of in a couple of days, so I added a little story to add to the narrative of the of the bond projects. But that's going well, and then right now the plan is given different permitting that we're still waiting on in some different places, like in Cornelius with Washington County. The hope is once that permitting is complete, construction will be finished and we'll have everything lit by the end of July. So.
That's really it for us tonight. It's gonna be a crazy summer. I think we have multiple buildings where we have full move outs of all staff. Gonna be a pretty significantly impacted for our staff. Echo Shaw, there's a lot of full move outs. Harvey Clark, every classroom is a full move out. Echo Shaw, Harvey Clark, Fern Hill, we have one classroom that's a move out. Dilly, we have one classroom that's a move out. NAMS, there's a handful. So we do have a lot of staff impacts. The whole Cornelius is gonna be moved. We gotta get all of that out within a week. So it's definitely gonna be a pretty significant impact to staff this summer. But hopefully we can help support everybody and ease that a little bit. It'll be worth it when we get back.
The principals are acting pretty calm, I gotta say. They're like,
Yeah.
we got it. So, pretty impressed.
I'm
That's
feeling
it.
pretty confident, comfortable with the contractors that we've chosen. And we feel like we're well prepared. Good hands at Cornerstone here.
Well, and on that, one cool thing is we got some new contractors in the mix. The CTE project was built by Ross Builders. And now on this project, Buildscape, they've been trying to win a bid. And they were the ones who, right when we started the bond, Mark was doing an emergency repair project at the high school that they had done. And so now they're gonna do the project here this summer, this edition. So that was kind of it's
And Farm Hill and Echo Shaw are,
Robinson Construction, another new player. They're at the Fern Hill project. That's a CMGC project. And then Five Stars at Harvey. Inline is another new player out at and that was CMGC, right?
Nope, hard bid.
Oh, that was hard at Echo. So yeah, it's kind of nice. We have so much going on, but it's really diversified too.
And they're relatively local contractors too, which is really
They are, yeah.
good to keep it in.
Inline's just out of like Hillsborough, obviously Five Stars right here, Buildscape's real local too, aren't they?
where's Phil's?
Yeah, I thought they were out of Hillsborough. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
I think so. My first time working with them. They've been great so far, so,
Beaverton's the word.
Yeah.
yeah.
Buildscape replaced the windows here. On the
Oh, yeah.
lower wing,
Yeah.
and they also replaced the windows to Harvey Clark. And it was that summer, they were just wrapping up when that
Oh,
flood happened at the high school in the science wing, and so I grabbed Pete. And asked him to come walk it with me, and we came up with a game plan and knocked it out, had the kids in school on time. It was July 24th
no,
when it was discovered, and it had to dry out for a week. And then we went to put it back together. Well, there's 100 sheets of drywall and everything. These guys, they did a knockout job. That's a lot of coordination, but it was actually, that's the level of expertise that we're feeling going into this summer. Feel pretty confident everywhere. Not to say we won't drill through another 12 pipe.
It's always possible.
No, we said they gotta hit electrical, so they have to try.
Yeah.
They hit a gas line, they hit a water line. They can't leave a utility out. But knock on wood, it's not gonna happen. They're gonna be much better.
So as far as where we are with the bond projects and what we've got going this summer, and I mean, what questions do you guys have, concerns, thoughts, no,
I have no questions, concerns. It looks like everything's coming along. Except for when's the next meeting, cause I only had us through today's date. Last day I updated.
so if we follow this year's schedule.
Yeah.
Next year it would be September 10th, December 10th, February 25th, and May 27th. If we follow the same schedule,
Okay.
so. Thank you. So that's what I'll shoot for, is just September 10th, and then at that meeting, we can set the next three.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yep.
All right, so I'll get that booked. Since you guys are the only two here, where would you like to have it? With all of this stuff happening, I put some examples or some ideas up here, but we can have it anywhere you want.
What will have been.
I think Echo's a great place, cause it's a summer 1-year project, and by the 10th, if it's not done, you fired me, so, I will have to be at the meeting. And John can show them all the beautiful work there, but I think that's a great one. Cause Harvey still has stuff going into next summer, so, you know what I mean? You could do Harvey even as a potential, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Well, that's what I was thinking
For
with,
meeting.
because Echo Shaw is gonna be done this summer.
Yep.
The high school should be done by next Christmas. NAM's wayfinding, I mean, we can see that anytime. Fern Hill should be done next spring, late next spring.
Maybe Harvey in September of that. After we
The
finish-
following
finish
year
the
for the
gym.
second year.
This could also be, not
Potentially.
to keep talking, but NAMS could jump up too, cause it'll be 100% done. You could push Echo down a little bit, you know what I mean?
The shift.
Just cause. NAMS should be relatively exciting to walk through. If it turns out the way it is in my mind.
Find our way.
Well, that could be the test too. We could have you guys lead us on the tour. We could ask you guys to take us somewhere in the building.
Yes.
Be little mice in a.
So you're saying the colors will be done by September?
It's all supposed to be, the
Like a-
NAM wraps up this year, so everything is 100% done in September by Labor Day. I mean, school starts the day after, short summer, Labor Day's first. Scary.
Yeah,
So if we did Echo Shot, Nams, High School, then Fern Hill. Or do you wanna swap Echo Shot?
Oh, no, I'm
Do
just saying
those
like,
first?
these are all good candidates for. Right after summer.
Yeah, okay,
Echo show is good not to do in the winter. That way we can walk around the building, see it without getting our feet wet.
Yeah. It's September one.
okay.
Right.
The last thing that's in this report, and I'll send it in email to the whole committee, because it is a requirement. The bond oversight annual report, I put a draft in here, I'll send it out to everybody to review. But it'll be what goes to the board on June 10th, and I'll confirm that Chris Mejia can still present that. But if you guys have any concerns or questions or thoughts about that annual report, let me know.
Seems like everything's coming along well.
It's been a whirlwind. I think it's going really well. The next step, like I said, is really trying to figure out what the next projects are, what we can get done with all of our interest and bond premium, so, just trying to get all of the information first and then.
Yeah.
Probably involve you guys in that conversation at the next meeting, in the fall, once we get it all of the, like, all of it put together. As a good sounding board.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys mentioned one of the gym floors getting redone. When is that? What school is it?
Nams
And
and Gales
summer.
Creek
Okay.
this summer.
Is that, you know, when they tear it out, first of all, is it hardwood?
No,
Oh, it's not. Okay.
it's already just like,
Elastic,
I'm gonna say,
rubbery.
it's a cast in place rubberized surface, and we're
Mhm.
putting back a similar surface, slightly thicker.
Gotcha.
Okay, I think we're going 8 mil this time. I think it was like. Well, it was supposed to be 6. One of the reasons we're replacing it is when we tested it, it turned out it was only like 4, and it was wearing, and like, it was all scarred up from the
Bleachers.
bleachers rolling in and out, and so we're gonna put down a much better resilient product on the same floor. Everyone asked if we could go to wood. It
There's a-
creates crazy transitions because you don't have the recess in the floor, like where John probably put wood in Cornelius. No,
Mm.
okay,
No,
I was gonna say they pour the floor 2.25 lower. So they can actually build a wood floor at the same height as the concrete. Can't chisel all that
Yeah.
concrete out. Say this.
they use the same flooring at Cornelius.
yeah. Putting in the forward floor there.
Yeah.
So,
And it's good for just a nice cushion for the kids.
For an elementary. Gales Creek's getting the same type of floor, just because of the student demographics and student needs out there, having that softer gym floor. Yeah. That's it.
yeah, nothing.